Air New Zealand is entering one of its most turbulent periods in years, facing industrial action from cabin crew who want better pay, ongoing pressure over higher fares, persistent concerns about fleet reliability and cancellations. Nikhil Ravishankar is the Chief Executive of Air New Zealand and joins me live at the desk this morning. Nikhil, good morning.
Good morning, Ryan.
Good to see you. Here. Now, let's start with the strikes. Are we going to see strikes before Christmas?
Look, we're doing everything we can to avoid strike action. We're meeting again with the unions this week, and I think our objectives are aligned. We're all trying to find the right solution, do the right thing, and I'm still hopeful that it won't get there. But if we did go down that path, we've got teams working very, very hard to make sure that customer disruptions are kept to a minimum.
What proportion, is 1,200 members who are union members, what proportion of that is your total crew?
Almost all our crew are union members.
It's like 80%, right?
North of that, yeah.
Okay, so if they all go down, then the planes don't operate?
Not necessarily. We are looking at options of how we deal with the strike action on a sort of progressive basis. And we think that we can work hard to keep the disruptions to a minimum. That said, we will have to cancel flights, but we'll re-accommodate customers either ahead of the strike action or after, so if that's the path we go down.
So would it all be on one day, or would it be spread over a number of days?
At the moment, the strike notice is for 1 day.
So how will you, if most of your cabin crew won't be there, how do you avoid shutting most 80% of flights down in a day?
We look, it's a technical conversation because some of our aircraft will be up in the air already. We will have to get customers to the other side. Strike only kicks off after strike action will commence only after 30 minutes after, for example, an aircraft has landed and what we call we're off gate. If you will, or off block.
How many passengers, have you run numbers, how many passengers do you think might be affected by this?
Look, it's hard to tell. The teams are working through that calculation as we speak.
Roughly?
By the end of this week, we should have a sense.
Do you have a rough idea now?
Well, if you ask me, I think the number will be somewhere between 10 to 15,000 customers, possibly.
Okay.
So it's significant.
And what happens to them? How much notice do they get that their flight's going to be cancelled? We've had loads of people, Herald readers and viewers of this program who've been messaging us, am I going to get to Lady Gaga on the 8th in Australia?
Yeah. We'll give our customers ample notice so that this next round of conversations with the unions are going to be critical. And as we get the finer details locked down, and if we do end up going down that path, the first people we'll notify are the customers.
Okay. You said negotiating the details. What exactly do they want? Because as I understand it, the base salary is $60,000 a year. Is that right, for an air hostess?
It ranges from about $58,000 to about $85,000.
And how much more do they want?
Well, it's not necessarily just about how much more the unions want. It's a matter of making sure that we all understand that cabin crew salaries aren't just about the base pay. It's a job that is quite unique, as you can well imagine, and so there is a lot of non-base allowances that make up the pay as well. So we're all looking at, in aggregate, what the increases need to look like over a 3-year period of time.
Right. So in aggregate, on the whole, what they're asking for, what's it worth to Air New Zealand over 3 years? Hundreds of millions? What?
It is in the millions, and hence why we're all working through it as carefully as we can. As you know, air travel has been as expensive as it's ever been. So ensuring that we have affordable air travel is high on the agenda. Ensuring we can help the airline navigate through a very tough economic cycle is high on the agenda. But equally high on the agenda is making sure that we look after our cabin crew.
Is what you're offering less than inflation?
No.
Okay, because that's what they've said. Are they lying?
I'm not sure what they've said, to be honest, Ryan.
Did you read Bruce Cotterill's article in the Herald over the weekend?
I certainly did.
And your thoughts?
you can read that article, and there are a bunch of anecdotes there, and you can write it off as such. But actually, perception is reality, and we have to deal with that perception. One of the points Bruce makes is the fact that we, need to empower our frontline staff to just do the right thing. And frankly, one of the reasons I'm so proud of this airline is because that's how we operate. Our cabin crew are world-renowned for just using a good old-fashioned dose of Kiwi common sense and looking after our customers, as are our airport staff. So we do that quite often, but also we're a large business. There are, hundreds of thousands of customer interactions on a weekly basis. And sometimes, under stressful situations or in certain instances, those things don't happen. But we strive to make sure that we empower our frontline staff, and we'll continue to do so, Ryan.
So everyone who's on the front line, every Air New Zealand staff member at an airport has the right to be able, has the authority to be able to change people onto different flights if they need to. They can do anything from there.
Not anything, because it's a complex operation, as you well know. But they have, within guardrails, they've got the right to make sure that the customers are taken care of.
So they can change flights?
Yeah, in certain situations, they can change flights. In fact, every day, our frontline staff change hundreds of customers' flights.
In what circumstances can't they change flights?
Look, there are many, many special cases where, they can't change flights. For example, if changing one customer's flight impacts one or more other customers, then they need to trade that off and make sure that, whatever they're applying as a fix doesn't have any unintended consequences.
Okay. What about the proportion of flights that are delayed or cancelled? He talks in the article about weather, engine issues and staff shortages as the kind of catch-all.
Sure.
What proportion of the flights that you cancel or postpone are because of each of those?
We call that controllable cancellations. Controllable cancellations today is about 2% of all the flights we operate. So we operate about 170,000 flights a year, and 2% of those flights we cancel because of either engine issues, aircraft issues, or crew issues. World class is 1%. So we have to halve that number before we are very proud internally about where we are, and we're working very hard to do so.
And what is the problem? Is it the weather?
No,
is it the engineering, or is it the staff?
The weather is excluded from that
Right,
stat.
okay, so it's engineering and staff.
Yeah, weather is an extra 1%. So you can think of our cancellation rate currently around 3%. 2% of that is what we call controllable, which is engineering and staff. By and large, it typically tends to be skewing towards our engineering side.
Okay.
Yep.
So does that mean you don't have enough engineering staff?
We've had that issue in the past as we've rebuilt out of COVID. Now we're in a very good place, actually, and that's why you're starting to see that number decline. The other issue is spare parts. The global aviation supply chain has been very strained, but now our spare parts reserves are also starting to improve. So over the last month, for example, our cancellation rate has been very low.
How low?
I think we're under 1% on controllable.
So you're under world class.
Yeah, we're getting very close. I'm very hopeful that over the next wee while, as the aviation system starts to stabilize, we will get to a place that is better than where the airline was pre-COVID. That's the mission.
You mentioned just before we came on here that you had some contact from some old bosses, Air New Zealand bosses, after this article was published in the Herald. Tell us about that.
Well, let me put it this way. It's been one hell of a 5-week period for me in my new role. And one of the things that makes it possible to do a job like this is the support of your team. But in my case, also, we have a very special group of NZ CEO alumni who are all willing to sort of lean in and give me some support, which is always nice to have,
So you heard from Greg?
I heard from Greg.
What did they tell you about it?
Our ex-CEOs know that it's a very complex business, and Air New Zealand's not just a commercial airline, it's part of New Zealand's critical infrastructure. And caring for it and making sure we set that up for it to be future ready is a complex, difficult job. And and they encourage me to keep the faith and keep at it. And we've got a world-class team who have world-class aspirations. So they're always very encouraging.
What's your aspiration? What do you want when you leave Air New Zealand as CEO? How will it look different, feel different to the way it does right now?
Yeah, that's a great question. Look, for me, I want Air New Zealand to be the world's best little airline from the world's best little country in the world. An airline that Kiwi are proud to call their own. And so when we read articles like the ones in the weekend, it's very personal for me and my 11,500 colleagues. And we want to fix that, and we're working on fixing it. Air New Zealand's an incredibly well-respected airline around the world. So, in 5 years' time, I want it to be, in the top 5 of safe, reliable operations. We need the airline to be financially sustainable so it can pay for itself, reinvest in the future. I want the airline to be the place that talented young Kiwi want to come join and build their careers. And I want us to be the most loved brand in the country.
I've got some questions for you, which hopefully it'll only take a minute. We can whip through them. This is from our audience. We asked them last night, have you got any questions? You're good with this?
Yeah, please go
Actually,
ahead.
there's one from me very quickly. Grab a seat.
Yes.
So you go and grab a seat, you find cheap fares. You
Yeah.
go on nzherald.co.nz, you don't find the same cheap fares. Why?
Well, my Grab a Seat team might not like me portrayed this way, but Grab a Seat for us is you can think of it as our bargain basement bin. So, the product we're in is as soon as the plane takes off, our product expires. You can't sell a seat once our flight takes off, but all the fixed costs of the flight we carry. So Grab a Seat allows us, or historically has allowed us, to try and get those load factors up.
So if you're looking for a last-minute seat, you start with Grab a Seat.
You can look at Grab a Seat, but also our main website will also have deals for people.
Okay, but not the same ones. Sam Rawlins says, favourite type of aircraft in the fleet?
Oh, the 2 aircraft I like, one's our Dreamliner 787, particularly a new product. And Ryan, if you haven't been on the new product, it's world-class, you should try it. And I like our workhorse turboprops. They keep New Zealand connected.
Someone says domestic flights are way too expensive, bro. That's Bevan. I don't think that's a question, Bevan, but...
I get it, Bevan.
Well, what are you going to do about it?
Well, we're doing quite a bit about it, actually, Ryan. Since 2019, costs have gone up significantly, 45% cost inflation. In some categories, like airport landing charges, for example, costs have gone up 80%. And so what we're trying to do is to ensure that the costs we control, we try and transform the business to try and attack those costs, reduce them. And where we don't control those costs, influence folk who can do something about it. And in the meantime, our airfares have gone up only 35%. And that's why you've seen our first half guidance is towards a loss. So I can assure your listeners we're not indiscriminately raising airfare prices, because if anyone gets it, I get it. It's very expensive.
Do you have a date just finally when you'll be full? You have all your aircraft up and running again?
The longest pole in the tent is going to be our A320 narrow-body aircraft because of our Pratt & Whitney engine issues. And I think that's about an 18 to 24-month journey.
Appreciate your time this morning, Nikhil. Thank you very much for being with me. Nikhil Ravishankar, who's with us, Chief Executive at Air New Zealand. Now.